guys. That way we can get started because I know all of you guys have busy lives as well. So, but welcome, you guys. I'm super excited to share with you guys tonight some things that I took from some of our meetings that we had while we were in Hawaii. And we had this amazing speaker that I just adored. You guys would just love her. Her name, I wanted you guys to follow her on Facebook if you guys want to, because she has some great stuff on her Facebook page, and she also has a website. Her name is Carrie Wilkerson. It's Carrie, and it's Wilkerson. She calls herself the Barefoot Executive. So she loved Hawaii because she never wore shoes. So it's pretty funny, but super cute, super bold, just a complete ball of fire. And her motto is just, she is real and honest. And I loved her. A lot of what she said resonated with so many of us. So I took a lot of notes because I wanted to share with you guys, hoping that maybe some of this can help you guys with your businesses, and then just also, daily life things as well. So, okay, first thing, she kind of gave us 4 parts to this, but first thing she asked us in our first meeting before she explained the rest was she wanted us to take 45 minutes, and she said to sit down with your shareholders, and your shareholders being your family. So your spouse, your kids, she calls those your shareholders because you guys are in business. You have a small business, and your family is obviously part of this amazing small business that you have. So she said, take 45 minutes maximum. Sit down and talk about what success looks like to you with your family. What does success look like? She said, don't use a number. So don't say success looks like we need to make such and such dollar amount, per month or per year. She said, no. What does success look like to you as far as time with your kids? Time freedom, different things like that. She wants us to look at success in that way and write that down. Talk about that with your shareholders. Then she also wanted us to talk about where we are out of alignment. Where are you out of alignment with your shareholders? Talk about that. It was a great discussion. Scott and I did it while we were there because then she went into more of it in the second session. And then the last one, she said, talk about where you're out of alignment. And then I'm hoping these 4 tips that she kind of gave us might help you guys too with, like it did us, with realizing more of where we are out of alignment in my business and in our family, just everything. I just love this. I'm excited to share. Okay, so these 4 tips, she calls it BRAD, B-R-A-D. And she said that was not her husband. We were really confused because we did not know what she was talking about, Brad. But I love it. Super simple to remember. So the first one is B, which calls for boundaries. B stands for boundaries. Big one, right? She said build boundaries, and I'm going to look at some notes because I don't want to forget anything for you guys. But build boundaries around people, places, and promises. So, like examples, and she went around the room and kind of asked everybody, what are some boundaries that everybody needs to set? So she mentioned, business hours with our businesses, setting boundaries around those. When you have business hours, if you guys have business hours, if you do a certain amount of time, you work in the morning, lunch, in the evening, or you have through the day, you have business hours set. She said, set those boundaries for when you have phone calls that are not to do with your business. Set those boundaries of not answering your phone during your working hours. Another big one that I loved was designated work area. And it was kind of a rumbling effect through the whole meeting when she talked about this, because so many people have a designated work area called the kitchen table. That's usually where most all of us start. I'm very guilty of that. And she mentioned, which I thought was so creative, is having 2 separate designated work areas too, to kind of change it up a little. So like in the morning, when she first starts work, maybe she's in her office where her computer is, but then she likes to take her computer and go to another part of her house or outside just to change the scenery up, get a new fresh. That does a lot for us. It does for me, when you just move your computer, your work area somewhere else, and it just kind of clears your mind a little bit. So that was a good tip that I thought she gave. But setting boundaries for your work area. So a thing that she made up was her kids love to get on her computer and play Minecraft. And so she had to set boundaries of, this is when mom's time is of working. So the kids are not allowed to be in her designated workspace within a certain amount of time. She has those boundaries set. And everybody, her shareholders, know what her boundaries are. And this is another hard one, is saying no. This was a big thing she talked to us about. When people ask you to do things, and she said, and it kind of maybe conflicts with our business or business hours or things that we need to do that day to help grow our business. She said, if it's something that really does not have to be done, but it's hard for so many of us to say no, she said to try to practice some scripts on saying no. So she said one thing is she always gets asked to help at her school because they know she stays at home. She's a businesswoman, but she's at home, and she gets called first. Can you come on this field trip? Can you help with this party? And she looks at her schedule, and if it is during her business hours, she just politely says, that is my day that I am working. She says, I can't do it this time, but how else can I help? Can her daughter bring something? Can she help, fund a couple kids because they pay for field trips, she was saying. So sometimes she'll help pay for a couple kids who may not be able to afford it to go on that field trip. She helps in other ways. And so she kind of talked about figuring out, we all have different things of how this goes on in our life, but that was just one example she gave. But figuring out those scripts of how to say no in a polite way, but how to help in alternate ways when we're saying no to those people, but to keep our schedule so that we're not disrupting, our business hours. So we're setting those boundaries, but we're still helping in other ways. So that is definitely something I have to work on. And she also mentioned with boundaries to list 15 friends, put 15 friends down on a piece of paper, and next to their name, write a plus and a negative. So write a plus if that is somebody that is positive for you to be around. Write a negative if it's somebody that, kind of maybe downgrades you or your business or your goals or your dreams, or you just get that negative feeling. You guys kind of know what I mean. And she said, look at those 15 people. And she said, with those people that you put a negative by, if you have any of those, to really, you don't have to completely limit your time with them, but you don't have to share your life story with them. You don't have to share your goals with them. Just still, of course, be their friend, but don't let them in your life to where they get you down and they get you negative, because we know negativity just spreads like hotcakes. So I think that's something good for everybody to do. And then look at those positive people that you have, your 15 closest relationships, and really build upon those and spend time with those people, because those are the people that lift you up and that are supportive of your goals and supportive of your business. And those are the people that are going to help keep you pushing forward. We don't have any time for those, a lot of time, let's say, for those negative people. Doesn't mean we have to leave them. It's just, she explained just limiting some of our time with them. Okay, so that's B for boundaries. And there's a whole lot of boundaries, you guys. Like, we went through the whole room. It was just different things that people had with, even checking their messages, through the day, making sure, setting boundaries around that. Just different things as far as what they do within their business. So it needs to be personal to you guys on those boundaries of setting, figure out what you need to work with on your boundaries. And if you guys have questions on those, message me and we can talk about, different things that are kind of personalized to you that you may feel, Jeannie, I need help with, this is where I kind of feel out of alignment, and let's help. Maybe I can help with some suggestions on that too. I'm always here for that. So that was B. R stands for routines and rituals. And this is another one that really was big for me. Routines. These need to be personal, just like we kind of talked about the boundaries, because your routine needs to be yours. It cannot be somebody else's routine or what works for somebody else. It needs to be bearable, needs to be memorable, and it needs to be non-negotiable. So routines are like one good one that I am completely guilty of this, you guys, but it's getting up sometimes before your kids in the morning, before you got to wake your kids up to go to school. She said, get up a half an hour earlier before your kids and get dressed for the day. She said, and start your routine. Take control before the kids get out of bed. Start your routine. You drink coffee, go have, you 1 cup of coffee wherever you like to. Like she explained, she's got a window that she loves to go over, and she sits in one specific chair and she has her coffee in the morning. She gets out her personal development book. She sits there and reads her 10 to 15 pages in the morning. And it's kind of her time. It's her time before the day starts. And then you go and wake up your kids, and then you're with them in the morning while you're getting your kids ready. For those of you that have kids, this is just an example, you guys, that she used. But you're getting your kids ready in the morning for school. You get them to school, and then you come back and you start your routine with, your work hours or whatever. If you go to work, then, you go to work, and you're starting, obviously you have a routine at work. So your routine goes with that as well for your daily job. Then when you get off of work at night, you have your routine for whatever you do in the evening, for your business. But it's something that I really, it really just kind of stuck with me, because like one thing, she sets her alarm for like 9 o'clock every morning, and it goes off saying, okay, what are we going to do for dinner tonight? And that's just something that sometimes Scott and we struggle with at night, and it's like 5 o'clock and we're going, what are we doing for dinner? So I loved that. She has an alarm on her phone. She figures out by 9 o'clock every morning, she knows what she's going to do for dinner that night, what their family's going to do. And also in the morning, you guys, she lists the top 3 things, the top biggest things that need to be done for that day. What do you need to achieve every day? Think about that in the morning when you have your time. And for those of you who don't have kids, when you get up and you're getting ready for work or just for your day, and you can sit somewhere for a few minutes, maybe read your book and think about, list those top 3 things of what you need to get done. And she said, which I liked this, she said, first thing, when you have your routine of sitting down, like for your business hours, you're ready to sit down and invest time into your Plexus business. Don't get on Facebook first. And everybody kind of laughed, because we're all guilty of that most of the time. And she said, reason being is you need to focus more on, your IPAs, your income producing activities, your leads, your leaders. Then you can take time to get onto Facebook and, happy birthdays and checking what's going on, and, the team pages and different things like that. But she said it's just really important to stay focused, and it just makes you feel kind of more accomplished through the day, is what her recommendation is of these. A power hour. I know Jimmy has talked about this before, and I know she's really good about doing these and has been really successful. And I'm going to post another video that Melissa Eichenhorst did on these for you guys too after the call. But power hour is a huge thing. For those of you that have a complete hour to work your business, and if you've got a half an hour, you can call it your power half an hour if you can. But she said, go to the bathroom before you do your power hour. Get you something to drink, something to snack on, whatever you need. But realize that this hour is going to be for you. It's going to be you building your business. And so you sit down, you don't answer your phone, no matter who calls. She said even if her husband calls, she will not answer it. If it's an emergency, he knows to text her. But there is no phone calls to be answered during this time. You don't check Facebook. You don't answer Facebook messages. You sit down and you work with your leads. You work on your leads, your prospects, who you want to introduce Plexus to, both products and the business. Take that hour and work on that. And then she said, also, this is also a good time in your power hour to check with your leaders. You know, check on your leaders, people on your team, you know, see how they're doing. Just a quick, hey, you know, is there anything that I can do for you today? Where are you at? How are your goals? You know, it's a good time to also do that. But this is all building your business. And she mentioned, what if we all took that power hour 4 times a week, 4 days a week, and we did a power hour of just focusing on our leads. She said that would grow our businesses like crazy. And it is something like I said, I really am implementing in. I'm really excited about. That was probably one of the biggest takeaways, believe it or not, at the Jewel training was this power hour. And people are so excited to implement it in to their businesses. I know many started today, and it's genius, but how simple is it? You know, it's one of those things you hear, but just the way she said it, it was really powerful. So that's just something I wanted to give you guys to think about. You know, that's your power hour and your time. You can get so much done in an hour's time on working your business that will be income producing, that will really grow your business. And I think for me, you know, not focusing on Facebook, not focusing on other things, just growing my business will really help things a lot. So, okay. Also, she said, which this I've never heard of, was do a sign-off routine. So at the end of whenever you're done, when you say, okay, I'm finished working my Plexus business, do a sign-off routine as well. And when you shut down at night or whatever time of day you shut that down, do the same thing. Figure out a routine that works for you on when you're shutting down your business. And if you do the same thing and make it memorable, you will accomplish a lot more. And also she mentioned when you're traveling and you know, when you're going out of town, you're doing anything, you're staying at a hotel, you know, this needs to also work with when you're traveling. So make your routine to where you can also do it when you're other places and you have that chance to work your business. You know, if you're on vacation and you're not working your business, that's different. But if you are, make this routine easy so that you can do it anywhere. And that kind of goes along with, you know, it being personal, what works for you. And like I said, non-negotiable. You don't want to she mentioned any terrorists. You don't want to let any terrorists in, you know, that kind of crush that routine that you have going. Do it every day and stick to it. And it just becomes a habit. We all know routines become habit. It's just something you can do and probably don't even think of every day. So I'm really excited to start doing that. Okay, so that was R. A is accountability. And under accountability, she put the words recording, reporting, and responsibility, which the last one we know is the big one. So tracking your activity, being accountable and tracking your activity every day. Tracking your no's. How many no's when you're sitting down and you're doing that power hour, that power half an hour or 15 minutes, whatever you guys have. How many no's are you getting? Write down those no's. And also write down the yeses. And when you get those people that join you or the ones that are interested, track all of that. Hold yourself accountable. And by having kind of that journal of tracking all those no's and the yeses, you can look back on that. And boy, that can do a whole lot for pushing you forward and seeing that, hey, you know, I did this. I had to get this many no's, which we all know we have to get a lot of no's sometimes to get a yes. But look at that yes. And oh my gosh, look at that person. You know, it's helping change his or her life. So I'm going to go get this many no's so I can get another yes to help that person that tells me yes to help them, you know, change their life. And then course, tracking your good ones, you know, the ones that you've helped them and seeing what they're doing, just everything, really recording all of that and tracking it. So she had kind of a funny story, and this goes along with when you're focused on people quitting. For those of you that have a team, you know, when you're focused on people quitting, or even those of you that have customers, and you're focused, oh my gosh, my customer quit. They're not going to take the products next month. A lot of times that's what happens is those more customers are going to quit, more ambassadors are going to quit. But when we're focused on getting new leads and getting new prospects and helping more people, we get more people that join us, and it just continues. Like, we know the mind is so powerful. So her funny story was, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, she bought an orange car. And she said this car was not, it was like the Dukes of Hazzard orange. It was orange. And she said there was no other orange cars anywhere. She says, do you know how many orange cars I saw after she got on the road and she was in her orange car? That's all she saw was orange cars. And I was like, totally, that has happened to me so many times. When you focused on something that you want, you see it all the time. It's just when I finally realized, oh my gosh, I was getting close to Emerald and I was going to get that RX 350. I had never seen one, you guys, in all of my life. They drove by me all the time, but did I ever see one? No. But you know how many I saw, and the boys constantly see them now. So it's so true. And it goes along with what we're focusing on is what we see. So, and that's what's happening. So just really work on focusing. Don't focus on those ones that are quitting. Focus in on the ones that you're going to bring into the business to help you. Goes along with your new leads. Because we have no control over results. We only have control over activity. I really liked that. And that's a lot that goes with our Power Hour and holding us accountable, tracking all of that stuff that you guys can track. Everything within your business you can track. And going back to that. So, okay, the last one for D is deadlines. She said to set deadlines for everything. And I think this applies, you guys, too, not just with Plexus, but, everything. The 4 words, sorry, that's my husband sneezing if you can hear him. The 4 words is define, divide, declare, and discipline is what she put under deadline. And reporting, recording, Libby, and hold on just a second. Recording, reporting, and responsibility on that one. Yep. Thank you, Deborah. So the deadline, define, write out your goals and what is the meaning of achieving those goals. Define them, write them out. It's kind of like your why, but it goes along with your goals on defining that, and we're going to set deadlines. So you want to divide, you want to separate those goals and tasks and have deadlines for each of them. So if your goal this month is, to do the September challenge, or just to get 1 new ambassador and 1 new customer, or 3 and 3, whatever it is, divide those up and set yourself some deadlines. I know I've said that several times, and I really feel passionate about that with affirmations, because I think it's so strong when you put that date and that deadline on something for yourself. So just dividing those out and really putting those deadlines on that. And of course, declaring that goal. And then discipline. The discipline is what gives you freedom. Having the discipline, to set those deadlines and go for it. When you have a goal you want to reach and you have set that deadline, it's going to lead you to that freedom and back to, what you want from Plexus. And with all of this said, your boundaries and everything is going to lead you to your goals and your why of Plexus. And so I think the deadlines is a big thing too, just for, for our daily stuff too, for daily things like this, setting your deadlines of, this is what I'm going to do today. Your 3 things that we talked about in the beginning. She wants, figure out your 3 big things you need to do for the day. Set yourself a deadline for that day to get those done by a certain time if you need to. That's just things that I'm thinking about that are working for me. That's why I said all of this stuff you have to personalize to you. But really, I encourage you guys to get with your shareholders, which I love that she used that. And communication, as we know, is huge with them. And talk to them about what success looks like. Take 45 minutes as soon as you guys can and sit down with them. It's actually a really fun conversation. And find out, what he or she is thinking. And, mention to them it's not a number. We don't want to talk about an amount, but what does success look like? What's your feelings? What's your goals in life? Your why. Your why is a big part of success, probably for most of us. And, talking about where you're out of alignment, and maybe hopefully some of these things, I know they really helped me, because I will be honest, I was out of alignment in a lot of these areas. And so my goal is to get myself back in alignment. And, Scott and I have talked about what success looks like to us, along with our why, over again. And that we want to really put some of these into work and see how they do. So, but I wanted to ask, does anybody have, if you guys want to unmute yourself, any comments or anything too, but boundaries, does anybody want to share anything you guys are thinking of that, might be good boundaries that you want to put into place, build boundaries? Does anybody have any comments? Okay.
You know what, Jeannie, I'm going to start, and I'm going to say right now with my boundaries, I wish I could say my boundary would be my work and I could quit that and then I could do the other stuff I love to do, but that's not going to work. I really don't have a spare time to set boundaries. So when I get someone from my downline that wants me to call them, I'm going to call them when I get, so I really can't set those as it sits right now. Right now, I'm working my business. When I get up in the morning at 3:30, if I'm messaging people, I'm going to make people mad. So I'm not messaging them then. I message them later. So I have to kind of juggle around my weird job that I have. And so my boundaries, it's just getting the 3 done. Like we've got the challenge going right now to just basically get those 3 things done. You message your people, you make your post, friend some people, do some sort of a video, or if you're reading a book or whatever. That's kind of where a lot of us that have the full-time jobs, we're kind of sitting in that position right now.
Well, and you're right, but this kind of more implies with even with your shareholders, where you're setting boundaries with them. When you're working, so like Edith, at night when you're working, that's your time to work. So you got to set those boundaries of not answering personal phone calls, or personal text messages that might take another half an hour, that's texting on something that's not business related or Plexus related. It's setting those boundaries, not, because what you're talking about is good. That's what you want to be doing. You're setting your boundaries because you're working with you, for your business and for your team. But setting boundaries more of, the outside people, a little bit, because we tend to, when we get focused on having those business hours and that time of we're going to work, we got to let our shareholders know too that this is my time. This is my time. I'm going to take this power hour and I am going to do my work. And you get all of that done way, way quicker than if you have all these interruptions that might come in, and then it's, we've gotten nothing accomplished, that day. That's happened to me several times. So that's more of
Absolutely.
Yes. So.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else have any boundaries they can think of you guys want to shout out or mention?
Hey, Jeannie.
Yes, ma'am.
I have boundaries in every area. My kids, my husband, they know when not to mess with me when I'm working my Plexus business. But I've even recently, since I started working out more, that was something that was kind of hard for me to make a priority, because I'm always making Plexus my highest priority. But I felt like it was something that I needed to do So I sacrificed some of my Plexus time to be able to go to the gym after I take the kids to school. And what I found by doing that little bit for myself, I'm getting more done in less time. So before I would, hold on, somebody's texting me, someone without boundaries. Anyways, sorry. Before, when I was dropping the kids off at school, I would be home by 9 a.m. and I would start working Plexus, and I would work through until I had to pick Taryn up at 12:30. Now I'm to the gym by 9. I'm home about, nope, there she is again. No boundaries. I'm home, and there she is again. Sorry, guys. I'm home by 10. I have my snack. I get in the shower. I get to work by 11. So I've cut my work hours down from 11 to 12:30. That's an hour and a half. And I'm getting more done in that amount of time because I'm more focused. I'm even able to throw like a live video out there for my team or for, my public Facebook or whatever. Yep. And today I really had to kind of set my boundaries, and I hate to say it, but maybe ignore my team a little bit and focus on myself. Yep. Because last week I was sick on Thursday and I didn't get my contacts done. And on Friday I was still feeling a little woozy from the medication, and I didn't know what to message people. So I didn't get my contacts done. So I doubled up on them today, and I'm doubling up on them tomorrow to make up for that. Plus my follow-up. Right. I spent almost all of my work time today doing income producing activities where I was just contacting people. I wasn't talking to my team. And I got a new customer out of it. I got 3 no's out of it, and I set a lunch date for next Monday with one of my chicken people.
Perfect. That's awesome, Jimmy. And that's perfect. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Exactly. And she did mention, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say those text messages that just came through, I have no idea what they were about, but the person that they were from, I've set boundaries with her too. It's my best friend. We run a nonprofit together. And when it comes to scheduling a board meeting, I'm like, okay, this is the time I can do it. Like I give her a good time frame because she has to work around other people too. But I'm like, you need to do it, and you need to do it fast because my schedule's filling up too. I'm not going to keep my day open because it might be at 11, it might be at 2,
Exactly. Well, it does. And exactly, Jimmy. And thank you for sharing that, because that is exactly a lot of what she said. And that's what is personalized for you. And that's what that you mentioned about taking time for yourself, because that's like getting up before the kids, like I mentioned, or if you don't.
I have a quick question. I've got a really quick question for Jimmy, because what she said I just went, wow, epiphany. Okay, Jimmy, do you only message one day a week and contact a lot of them that one day and then do follow-ups? I know how you are. So are you that broken down to where, do you seriously only do it one day a week and then other things different days? Explain.
Okay. So I kind of change things up because I need to change things up to keep myself motivated. Mm-hmm. So I will tell you what I'm doing this month. At the end of last month, I was like, you know what? I like the number 100. Let's see how I can do this math. And so what I did is I committed to contacting 5 new people. And when I say new people, I'm talking new people. I'm talking people that I have not spoken to about Plexus. It's not a follow-up. They're brand new. Most of them are either off my chicken list or I don't really know them. Somehow they're on my Facebook or whatever. Okay. So I have 5 of them Monday through Friday that I'm doing. And then I'm following up with 10 people each day, Monday through Friday. I'm taking Saturday and Sunday off. We've got football going right now. Sundays, I teach at church, and it's a day for my family both days. So I'm trying to have my weekends as much as I can, unless I'm doing a meeting or something like that. So it's Monday through Friday. but I'm doing every day. And I was really down on myself for missing Thursday and Friday. So I'm happy that I got half that made up today, and I'll get the other half of it made up tomorrow.
Edith, that is also what I do too. I didn't know that's what Jimmy did, but I do at least 5 new people a day. And I try to do a total of 10 talking about Plexus. They're not always about Plexus. And then I do 10 follow-ups a day as well.
Yep, perfect. And it's huge. And that's why, like Jimmy said, when you get that day, you know, when she's sick, that's out of her control, you know, you still have to get back in your routine, and you have to set those boundaries, you know, in other areas to get those done at another day like she did. And it does, you guys. It makes you feel so much more accomplished. You know, just all of this. That's why I was so excited to get home and tell you guys all of this, because if you really look at it and implement it in, I think it will just do wonders, because we tend to get, for me, I tend to get pulled, you know, in so many different directions. And then I'm thinking, what did I really get accomplished today? And I know I did things and I worked my business, but I maybe didn't do what I should have for me either, as far as my leads and, you know, growing my business. So it's easy to get out of that one day. And then what happens is the next day, when you don't have those routines, I just tend to kind of do the same thing, or it's hard to get, you know, I need to have that routine and that memorable routine to get back into it, just like Jimmy said. And that's what I have done, is implemented in, you know, working out, which Libby has helped me with that. And then I got sick too. So I got to get back into that. And I changed all of my stuff after this conversation, or this presentation she did. And because we have to have our time too. And we have to have those business hours, and we have to have that time with our family, because family is the utmost important no matter what. And a lot of why we're doing this is for us and our family. So, you know, having these conversations with them and communicating with them and setting those boundaries, you know, helps for that family time that we have too, and letting them know, hey, I just need this hour, you know, this power hour, you know, mom or dad's going to get, or whatever, I'm going to get this done, or your husband and wife, I'm going to get this done. You know, don't interrupt me. I won't be checking anything for this hour, or a half an hour, or however long you guys have. That it will. This is what Plexus is about, and this business can do, is everybody, it's possible for everybody to reach your goals with this, but it takes a lot of these steps to do that. So, but I hope that kind of helped you guys. I know kept you on a little longer, but I hope that just helps some of you to maybe work on some of that stuff like I am, and hopefully as excited as I am to put it in, because I get excited about that stuff. So, any questions, you guys, please message me, like I said, or comment on the team page, and we can all visit about it too. So, but thank you guys so much for joining in.